what's up, all you motherfuckers? How you doing today? Well, just finished watching 3 hours of Monday Night Raw. And for the third week in a row, it's not too bad. There was kind of a decline in my interest in this episode, but it was, that kind of thing can happen. There are some things that, doesn't really attract your interest so much. But it wasn't so much of an insult to my intelligence. They used the matches wisely. They built up some stories, friction between characters and hype up for the matches that they are posting on the Payback pay-per-view. So overall, the show may not have been perfect. Far from the imagination, it was not perfect whatsoever. But for the fact that it wasn't the best show out of the 3 shows we've had after WrestleMania, it wasn't that bad either, because even though they didn't have the matches weren't all that great, the show had its decent parts where it was building a story for every match that was being placed on the Payback pay-per-view card. So we kick things off with Dean Ambrose with the Ambrose Asylum. We get Shane McMahon coming out, pretty much overall gets a huge pop from the audience. There was one small problem about this episode, I think, that makes the show kind of bad. In a way, the matches weren't that bad. I can't say that they were bad, but the audience just did not seem interested in the show all that much by like half portion of the show, and it just seemed dead overall. Shane McMahon comes out, he gets a big pop from the crowd. Talks about Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and Chris Jericho. Well, he starts talking, and then Sami Zayn, first Kevin Owens comes out. He says this new era is a bunch of bullshit. This is just another McMahon abusing power. So basically saying the authority is abusive with power, Vince McMahon is, and Shane McMahon. So he pretty much is kind of like, acting like a heel on his own. He's not really with anybody, siding with anyone. He thinks all the McMahons are a bunch of crap. Which, outside of maybe Shane, he might be right. I don't know. But whatever. That doesn't really matter. Sami Zayn comes out. He interrupts the promo as well. Pretty much talks about their past history with one another. With them being friends, and then he's talking about how Kevin Owens said he was riding his coattails, and the truth of the matter is he got the sign up for WWE before he did, but Kevin Owens went back with another response saying, hey, I may have done that, but who got to WWE's main roster first? I did. So there you go. Which is a valid point. It was a lot of good points between the two. Very good build-up storyline, very basic, and that's a good thing because it makes things less complicated, makes it easier on the storyline writers and everything else, and on the audience to just watch a standard, regular friend versus, friends turn foe kind of situation, bringing in real life to a storyline. I think that's a really awesome idea, and it works a lot of times. Chris Jericho also interrupted. He's pissed off of Dean Ambrose. This whole thing between Dean Ambrose and Jericho, I don't really like the storyline per se, how they're getting this kind of all built up. I mean, maybe it will build up later on into something more through matches and, them facing each other maybe for the next month, another month or two, going into their final match or so forth. But right now, the way this is starting off, it's just really kind of, to me, a little cheesy, a little bit lame, I would say. But the match itself, I expect to be pretty decent. A match that's never happened before, which is another good thing. So, despite the cheesy start to the storyline, the match itself should be a very entertaining and interesting match to see how it unfolds and how these two guys work together and what kind of chemistry they have with one another as well in the ring. So with all that being said, long story short, Shane McMahon makes the two matches, another deal that where two matches are made for the Payback pay-per-view. Very much old school feeling there, which is a good deal right there. And he pretty much goes on to say that Sami Zayn will face Kevin Owens one-on-one at Payback, as well as Dean Ambrose will go one-on-one against Chris Jericho. And to start off the night, we're going to have Sami Zayn versus Chris Jericho one-on-one. So we get this match. This match was pretty damn decent. Very satisfied with how all this went down. Unfortunately, though, Chris Jericho did walk away victorious. I was kind of thinking Sami Zayn was going to walk away with the win. Pretty much how the match ends is Chris Jericho pokes him in the eyes and then does the code breaker on him and gets the 1, 2, 3. Pretty solid heel tactic there and a decent ending. I give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Nothing too bad. And well done by Sami Zayn in that match. Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson actually had a interaction with AJ Styles when he was about to be interviewed. And Gallows and Anderson made it clear that they have Styles back at the Payback. At this point, AJ really being who he is on this program really doesn't need their help, doesn't want their help whatsoever. We then get Enzo and Cass facing the Dudley Boys in a pretty decent match as well. Crowd was pretty much into this mostly. And Enzo and Cass walk away victorious on this one as well. And move on to the finals where they're going to face the... actually, I'm not going to say who they get to face. But if you saw the episode, you know. But yeah, this match wasn't that bad either. 3.5 out of 5 stars. I definitely enjoyed watching this. It wasn't that horrible at all. It definitely was good. I kind of wish that they would have kept this as a match for a regular tag team match between the Dudley Boys and Enzo and Cass, as like a hardcore match of some kind. For them to face one-on-one. They might do that at Extreme Rules, which wouldn't be a bad idea. I think that would be great for the Dudley Boys and great for Enzo and Cass most of all, since they're working with a veteran tag team that have tons of experience and have a lot of accolades made in their career. So definitely that would be a great idea for them to do, actually put them in a big moment match against the Dudley Boys, even though there's no tag team titles on the line, which would make this match even more important. But making them just go one-on-one against the Dudley Boys, or should I say from one tag team to the other, going up against each other, I think that would be great for them. Just to help them build their stock in the company and get some more popularity from the crowd. But this match, I think, helped them out a bit, definitely. And it was definitely an okay match. I definitely enjoyed watching it. Everything in it wasn't, it kept my interest, definitely, on that situation. The WWE World Heavyweight Champion Roman Reigns, he came out with a crowd of boos. There ain't no doubt about it. This guy's the most hated fucking guy on the planet in professional wrestling today. I have never seen so many people hate on Roman Reigns like they do with him. John Cena, I don't think gets as much hatred as Roman Reigns does. At least the WWE audience, half of them cheer for John Cena. You get some guys cheering for him. All the little kids and the women cheer for him, of course. But he gets some guys to cheer for him. And then he has half the crowd hate on him as well. Roman Reigns, he just seems to come out there and he's all out booed. You don't even hear some fucking small little bits of cheers, man. London was booing him out the fucking building. This was sickening. Smart enough on their part, the Roman Reigns was not on the main event for this show, so they might get lucky and not have lost some ratings, and all they might have lost was a few people here and there during Roman Reigns' segment, because my God, from what I heard, they had a humongous drop in their last hour, knowing that Roman Reigns was in the main event. I guess people said, fuck this shit, click, from last week, even though last week was a decent show. And this one, I mean, thankfully they were smart enough to keep him out of the main event spot on Monday Night Raw. So, I mean, AJ Styles, you know, said a couple of things that were, you know, true. Every time he got in the ring, he fought like it was his last. He fought for his life. And that's what gave him the nickname, the Phenomenal One. And helped him win world championships and so forth. Roman Reigns, he, you know, verbally, AJ Styles was kicking his ass verbally. I didn't really buy into anything. Roman Reigns going, you know, I fight for my life. You don't fight for shit, man. You get the fucking, you're a prima donna WWE made up product character that Vince McMahon cherishes and treats like a little baby instead of doing what he should do and throw you to the fucking walls, man, and give you some fucking balls. Instead, he makes you like a little pussy. And I think that's number one reason why most people do not like him. Because of the fact that people know that Vince McMahon's protecting him. And doing a very bad job of that, may I add. Because if you're going to walk out in London with a crowd full of over 16,000 fans booing you out the fucking building, and the majority of them are doing that, I would have to say about 99% of them were booing him out the building with a few cheers here and there. You know, pretty fucking horrible, in my opinion. But they definitely look like they're stringing Roman Reigns into the idea that he's going to become a bad guy soon. During the segment, though, after the interview and the confrontation ended, Anderson and Gallows attacked Roman Reigns. Now, I was thinking maybe this would be neat, have a different type of Shield and a different Bullet Club, but, you know, maybe name it the Roman Empire when Doc Gallows and Anderson join with Roman Reigns after they've helped him retain the title, which now doesn't look like it's possible unless you do an outrageous thing where you said, oh, we were just making you think we had your back and we never really did in the first place. We don't like you anyway, kind of thing, and help Roman Reigns at the end of the day retain the title. That would be a little awkward at this point, now that this is, you know... I mean, if they would have came out and said, hey, we got your back, AJ, and left it at that, and he didn't, you know, they didn't interfere with Roman Reigns at all during this point, and save this until, you know, Payback pay-per-view, and then beat the shit out of AJ Styles in the middle of the match to help Roman Reigns retain the belt, that would have worked a bit better. So that's pretty much it. So at this point, it's going to make an awkward situation, making, you know, Roman Reigns turn heel now at this point with Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson. So this is kind of weird to me. I think this is fucked up. Anyway, Dolph Ziggler comes out for commentary. He doesn't even get a pop of any kind. Nobody gives a fuck about him at this point. His career is down the fucking toilet, and he probably don't care. He's getting paid, and that's all that matters to him. That's what a lot of these guys are doing nowadays. They don't give a shit. They just care if they're getting paid and they're working for WWE at this point. We had a backstage segment with Roman Reigns talking to one of the interviewers. And he asked him what his thoughts were, what happened with Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows. AJ Styles, before he could even answer the question, Styles came in and talked to him and told him, hey, look, I mean, I'm friends with them, But I never had any idea that they were going to do something like that to you, and my plan is not to, beat the shit out of you to win that belt. I can do that on my own. I don't need anyone to help me. And I don't want to go out winning that way anyway. So Roman Reigns looked at him and goes, yeah, okay, whatever. His attitude was he didn't believe him whatsoever, which you can't blame him in this storyline because, I mean, realistically, logically, that would be the case anyway. So from there, we had Baron Corbin face Fandango. Pretty short, straight to the point match. Baron Corbin won this match by pinfall with what's that movie they call it? He pretty much hit I forgot the Apocalypse Powerbomb or whatever the fuck they call it. I don't even know what the hell they call the damn move. Excuse me if I don't know. Sorry though I don't know the move. I think it's the Apocalypse, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Ziggler then also gets attacked by Corbin. This match was a 2.5. I think if Corbin would have been working with a better talent, it would have worked for him. But since, he's just a newcomer, I think Vince McMahon is just trying to help build him up into this freak superstar who can kick ass and take names. He placed him up against a jobber and just let him do his work, and that was the end of that. Nothing too hard, nothing difficult there. It definitely looks like Ziggler and Baron Corbin may be facing each other at Payback, which isn't a bad match. They got a lot of rivalries going on here. Not too many title matches outside of Cesaro and The Miz, which also is coming up next for the IC title, the World Championship belt, and the Women's title, and that's about it. That's all they really got going here for this show. But pretty much overall, the match, the next thing on the show. Sorry, I got a brain fart there. Kind of lost my place here. We had the Intercontinental Championship segment with the Miz, having the Sheamus, Rusev, and Del Rio come out. Or Cesaro, it was the guest. But here's the thing. I did not watch this. Anytime The Miz comes on television, a lot of people say, oh, I can't stomach Roman Reigns. I really can't tune into this shit. I'm clicking off. Fuck it. Who cares? Me, I cannot stomach The Miz more than I can't stomach Roman Reigns. I mean, I don't like Roman Reigns at this point where he's at, what they're doing with him, everything else, and protecting him and all that kind of shit. But honestly, I cannot stomach The Miz. He is downright the worst wrestler they have on this fucking program. I think he is absolute trash. He can't wrestle. He can't entertain anymore like he used to. His whole gimmick absolutely sucks. They transformed him into this Hollywood wannabe superstar like The Rock, and he can't even lace up The Rock's boots. So get the fuck out of here. I didn't care about the segment, did not watch it, did not care. Just was happy to see Cesaro pick up the victory for his team with the New Day going up against The Miz in the League of Nations, and Cesaro hit the neutralizer on Sheamus, and they picked up the victory, and that was the end of that. Fans weren't too heavily into this. They were chanting for King Barrett earlier on in the match, but overall the fans were pretty much dead. There was nothing involved in this, and that's pretty much where the show started kind of getting less and less entertaining to the audience. To me, I was pretty intrigued with some of the things that were going on. Backstage, we also had Natalya with the women's champion, Charlotte, and Natalya revealed that during this point, they were going to be competing for the women's title in a rematch since she did tap out with the interference of her father, Ric Flair. And to even the odds a bit to make things fair, Bret Hart will be in the corner of Natalya, which is actually an outstanding idea. Great way to bring some interest more into this match, and it brings in two old guys who were once downright competitors and rivals with one another in WWE as well as WCW to be managers for this match for the younger female talent in the WWE. I think this is outstanding. I think this is really a cool idea. You're not going to see these two guys get physical, but just their names being thrown in that hat with this match kind of makes it intriguing. It also makes it believable, where it makes you think that Natalya has an opportunity to get a fair shot at winning the belt, but in which case you know for a fact Charlotte's going to retain the title. So in this case, I really think they should have Charlotte walk away victorious in a clean fashion, which she hasn't done in a long while. I think this time they really need to get her to win fairly without using her father to get her over. I think they just need to get her over by just doing it on her own. And what I mean by getting over is not with the audience, but in the match, actually getting the win. But yeah, that's pretty much it on that. I think that was a very good idea what they did, throwing that in there with Bret Hart. So that should be entertaining to watch. I'm pretty sure they're going to get pretty damn loud at Payback when Bret Hart shows his face on the pay-per-view. We had Natasha, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and Paige defeat Tamina, Snuka, Naomi, Summer Rae, and the women's champion Charlotte. Charlotte actually tapped out to the sharpshooter, which was surprising, and I actually did not watch this match either. There was too many on Charlotte's team. There's just too many lame talent on there. The three women that she's tagged with are just absolute garbage. I don't like Naomi. Tamina is crap, even though she's related to Jimmy Snuka. And freaking Summer Rae, I could care less about her being on the main roster or ever competing in a WWE ring. She is absolute crap, and I could care less about watching her do in-ring work. So fuck that shit. The Vaudevillains faced the Usos to go to the finals. And the Vaudevillains won this match. This match was absolute crap. I did not like it. Don't like the Usos, and sure as hell do not like the Vaudevillains. I don't like the Usos simply because their gimmick is old, stale, kind of boring. They needed some sort of change to get them over again the way they were when they first started. Their gimmick now just seems repetitive, dull, boring. Just nothing entertains me about them anymore. Are they athletic? Absolutely. Are they talented? Yes, but their whole thing is just, it's just boring. Oh shit, I've been forgetting to do the numbering system on this. Okay, yeah, I said Enzio and Big Cass's match with Baron Corbin and Fandango. I give it a 2.5 out of 5 stars. Cesaro New Day defeating The Miz and the League of Nations. I give this a 3 out of 5 stars. Decent 6-man tag team match, or 8-man tag team match, excuse me. This match here, Natalya, Sasha Banks, the 8 women's tag team match. Didn't really watch this, so I can't say. I probably, based on the entertainment value, probably would have been a 2.5 out of 5 stars based on the female wrestlers involved. The Vaudevillains, I give this a 2 out of 5 stars. Did not care for this match whatsoever. It wasn't all that big of a deal. And the Vaudevillains are going to face Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy at Payback for the finals, which kind of pisses me off. I kind of was hoping we were going to see the tag team titles on the line. So at this point, I don't know who was going to win. It should be interesting who might win this match, but I sure as hell hope it's not the Vaudevillains if they're not going to have the tag team titles at the Payback pay-per-view. And what I mean by that, just to explain myself a little bit on this, is if they were to have the tag team titles at Payback, and let's say that the tournament for the finals was supposed to end next Monday or this coming Thursday SmackDown, and Devon the Villains were supposed to win because the Dudley Boys interfered, and the Dudleys were supposed to face Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy in this situation in a big stipulation match or something like that to make the rivalry a little bit more interesting, I would have been like, okay, that's fine, and just have New Day walk away victorious against Devon the Villains and have them retain the titles. This case, I really kind of hope the Enzo Amore and fucking Colin Cassidy walk away instead of Devon the Villains, because I hate that tag team. They fucking suck. Apollo Crews, very athletic guy. Wish he was competing against some better talent. Heath Slater got his ass wiped all over the floor. He was fucking beaten from pillar to post. Got a little bit of advantage in this match, but overall he just fucking sucked. He got his ass whooped by Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews, very talented. Can't wait to see him move up into the main event spot at some point down the line in the next year or so. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen eventually for him unless something changes, which it could. But if things keep going the way they're going for him, I think he's probably going to be seeing some, major matches, main event quality matches with somebody at some point. As I said, Apollo Crews defeated Heath Slater. This match was a pretty straightforward match, and it was okay. Give it a 2.5 out of 5 stars simply because of the fact that Apollo Crews was facing not a very talented wrestler like Heath Slater, such as like Heath Slater. So, I mean, that's the reason why the match sucked. It wasn't because of Apollo Crews, really. Dean Ambrose facing Kevin Owens, once again defeating him, I think about the 5th or 6th time here in the last 3 months. Kevin Owens' number is owned by Dean Ambrose. So, I mean, this match was pretty good. I give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Definitely a decent main event match. Kind of wish, though, that it wasn't. Because these guys have faced each other so many times, it's just kind of getting old and stale. That's the main problem. Some of the things that they did with this event kind of made it boring a little bit. But storyline-wise, I can't complain, and the in-ring work wasn't all that bad either. It just, they didn't have the same touch that they had last week or the week before. But I'm not saying that the show has gotten worse. I'm just saying that the show could have had a little bit more oomph behind it. But it did have effort. It did have, good storytelling, helping build matches for the pay-per-view. So that's all you can really ask for. If you go back and look at some of the shows that you see from the old days when wrestling that you enjoyed, not every episode was going to be a winner or be better than the last episode. Sometimes they're going to drop a little bit, and then they'll go back up again the next week. So you can't expect, a good show or an improvement each week, because just sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. But if you're seeing the quality that it needs to have, such as like a storyline, building a match, helping it hype up the match, and you're getting progression out of it at least, you're doing something right with the show. Despite the fact that maybe the show is not the best, it still has what it needs to help make the pay-per-view worth watching. And they did exactly that. A lot better than WrestleMania 32's build-up. That's all I can say. And I have to give them a lot of credit for that. This show feels better than any fucking Monday Night Raw episode was from 2015 outside of John Cena's open challenge for the U.S. title. Other than that, this show has been better than any one of those. So that's just my overall opinion. Let me know what yours is. Leave your comments and opinions down below. As always, lay the smack down on the subscribe button. Really need to come up with something different for that one. Because I think that's getting old and stale and boring. Leave your comments down below if you agree with me on that part. Probably you would. And hit the like button if you like the video and agree with my opinion with this show, definitely. And I thank you very much for watching and taking the time to watch this video, and have a great night, guys. Bye.